Hi, storm breakers. Welcome to English Story School. Part 1. The Wake-Up Call. What if I told you no one is coming? Not your friends. Not your family. Not even fate. Sound harsh, doesn't it? Too cold. Too brutal. Too unfair. And yet, that's the exact moment when life begins to shift. Not when help arrives, but when you realize it never will. That realization is the earthquake that cracks your old world apart. Because the truth is simple. You are your own rescue team. Picture this. It's midnight. Rain pounds against the window, each drop hammering like the ticking of a clock. Your phone glows dimly in your hand. You're scrolling, waiting, hoping, searching for a message, a miracle, some magical form of help that will lift you out of the storm. But the screen stays silent. The help never comes. And then it happens. The truth slams into you like lightning through the dark. If I keep waiting, my dreams will die waiting with me. The shock burns. Your chest tightens, your stomach twists, your breath falters. At first, it feels like despair. But then, slowly, something else flickers inside. Not hopelessness, fire. That night, something inside you snaps. Not in surrender, but in defiance. Because here's the first rule of legends. A hero is not born when they are saved, but when they decide they no longer need saving. That thought doesn't just whisper, it roars through your veins. Suddenly, you see it clearly. The waiting has been the real prison all along. Every time you sat around hoping someone else would fix your problems, every time you expected fate to intervene, every time you leaned on others to carry the weight of your own dreams, you were chaining yourself tighter. And the cruel part? The world had been trying to tell you this all along. People are busy with their own storms. Friends drift. Family gets tired. Fate doesn't play favorites. It hits you hard. No cavalry is coming. And strangely, that realization doesn't destroy you. It sets you free. For the first time, you stop looking at the door, waiting for someone to walk in. Instead, you turn to the mirror, and staring back at you is the one person who can do something about it. The wake-up call isn't gentle. It isn't kind. It feels like betrayal at first. But then you understand. It's the best gift you'll ever get. Because when you accept that no one is coming, you stop outsourcing your destiny. You stop begging for permission. You stop expecting miracles. You start creating them. The storm outside rages on, thunder cracking across the sky. But inside you, a greater storm begins to rise. One made of grit, anger, and determination. You whisper into the silence, voice trembling but alive. I will not wait anymore. And the moment those words leave your lips, something changes. The loneliness in your chest transforms into strength. The rain pounding outside begins to sound less like chaos and more like a war drum pounding to your rhythm. The silence of your phone no longer feels like abandonment. It feels like freedom. The day you stop waiting to be saved is the day you start becoming unstoppable. This isn't an easy truth to swallow. It's heavy. It tastes like ash and steel. But it's real, and real is what you need. Because legends aren't born in comfort. They're born in nights like this, when you sit in the dark, drenched in doubt, and finally decide to rescue yourself. The world won't clap for this moment. There will be no applause, no headlines, but you'll remember it forever, because it's the night you shifted from victim to warrior. From waiting to doing. The hero in every great story doesn't rise when help arrives. They rise when they realize help isn't coming. That's when the spine straightens. That's when the eyes sharpen. That's when the fire finally burns hot enough to push them forward. And that's when you realize the most powerful truth of all. The person you were waiting for was always you. So you put the phone down. You stand up. Your knees still shake, your chest still aches, but your steps are steady. For the first time, you're not walking toward someone else's promise. You're walking toward your own. The wake-up call is brutal, but it's necessary. It shatters the illusion that someone will swoop in and fix your life. It replaces it with something far more valuable: responsibility. Because when you own your struggle, you own your strength. And that is the moment legends begin. Part 2, the first strike. The next morning is different. Not slow, not lazy, not drowned in hesitation. You're charging. The alarm goes off, and for the first time in years, you don't reach for the snooze button. You don't bargain with yourself for 5 more minutes. You throw the blanket back, feet hitting the floor like war drums. This isn't another morning. This is the first strike. Because last night you buried the lie that someone was coming to save you. And when illusions die, warriors are born. You look around your room. Same walls, same mess, same world outside. Nothing has changed except you. And that changes everything. You stop making those little excuses. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired. It's not the right time. Those phrases used to feel so comfortable, so safe. They were soft pillows for your failures, soothing lies for your restless nights. But today, they sound like poison. No more. Today is war, and the battlefield is your comfort zone. Every step you take is a rebellion. Waking up on time is a strike. Lacing your shoes instead of rolling over is an attack. Choosing sweat over excuses is a declaration. You move with urgency. You move with clarity. You move like someone who has finally realized the brutal truth. Your future is not waiting to be delivered. It's waiting to be built. And the construction crew, that's you. Your comfort zone is your cage. Every strike against it is a swing at your freedom. The world doesn't clap when you make this choice. Don't expect fireworks. Don't expect cheers. In fact, most people don't even understand what's happening. People around you notice the change. Some roll their eyes. You've changed, they mutter, dripping sarcasm. Others whisper behind your back, questioning your sudden intensity. But here's the beauty. You're not listening anymore. Their voices fade into static, background noise against the roar of your new purpose. Because the second you understand that your future is built by your hands, their opinions lose all power. Their laughter? Background noise. Their doubt? Background noise. Even their pity, just another sound in the distance. You've entered a new frequency, and only the sound of progress can reach you now. And here's the thing about striking first. It's contagious. The first strike gives birth to the second. The second makes the third inevitable. Momentum builds like fire catching dry wood. You start making choices that used to feel impossible. Instead of sleeping in, you're running in the cold. Instead of complaining, you're working. Instead of waiting, you're building. Each action feeds the fire inside you. And suddenly, you see it clearly. The world is divided into 2 kinds of people: those who fuel your fire and those who choke your flame. If they're not feeding your fire, they're choking your flame. That line becomes your shield. You repeat it in your head when the doubters smirk, when the critics talk, when even your own mind tries to slip back into old habits. You realize something powerful. People's opinions don't pay your bills. Their whispers don't build your dreams. Their approval doesn't carry you to destiny. Only you do. So you swing harder. You start writing, even when you don't feel inspired. You hit the gym, even when your muscles ache. You study, even when your eyes burn with exhaustion. Every small decision becomes another strike against the cage that once held you. And slowly, cracks begin to form. The comfort zone shakes. The walls tremble. You catch glimpses of the person you're becoming. Sharper, stronger, hungrier. You're not there yet, but for the first time, you feel movement. The battlefield isn't glamorous. Some days you wake up sore. Some days you feel the whispers digging under your skin. Some days you almost stumble back into old patterns. But you don't, because once you've struck, once you've declared war on your comfort zone, there's no peace treaty. The only way forward is to fight until the walls fall. You walk into the world with fire in your chest. Tasks that once felt heavy now feel like weapons in your hands. Resistance is no longer something to avoid. It's something to sharpen yourself against. And the best part? You start to believe. Not in luck. Not in rescue. Not in the fantasy of someone pulling you out. You start to believe in you. The first strike wasn't against the world. It wasn't against doubters. It wasn't against obstacles. It was against your old self. And you won. Part 3. The resistance. Oh, and trust me, don't expect the world to clap for you when you finally decide to rise. In fact, it will test you, harder than you ever imagined. It doesn't send applause, it sends ambushes. It throws delays, failures, and doubts at you like heavy punches in a dark alley. It feels personal, like life itself is trying to see if you'll fold under the pressure. And here's the twist. Most people do. They crumble. They beg for mercy. They take the hit and retreat, limping back to their comfort zones, muttering, "I guess it wasn't meant for me." But not you. This is where you shock everyone. This is where you become unrecognizable to the person you used to be. Because when the punches land, when plans fall apart, when rejection stares you down, when the weight of failure crushes your chest, you don't flinch. You take the hit, smile through the sting, and swing back harder. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because you understand something the average person never will. Every setback isn't a sign to quit. It's your training ground. The blows that were meant to break you are the weights that will shape you. The world throws delays at you. You use them to sharpen your patience. It throws failures at you. You dissect them, learn from them, and come back stronger. It throws doubts at you. You turn them into fuel, burning hotter than before. Every resistance, every obstacle, every no becomes part of your conditioning. And slowly, your spirit stops being fragile. It becomes ferocious. You realize something crucial. Lions don't stop chasing because the antelope runs faster. They run faster too. That quote becomes your anthem. Lions don't stop chasing because the antelope runs faster. They run faster too. Every rejection sharpens your hunger. Every obstacle toughens your spirit. Each setback teaches you resilience. Each delay forces you to adapt, and each failure injects you with wisdom. The truth is, resistance isn't your enemy. It's your trainer. The punches hurt, yes. The bruises are real. Some nights you fall into bed with nothing left but sore muscles and a heavy heart. but the fire inside you never dims. Because you're no longer asking, who will help me? That question died the night you woke up and realized no one was coming. Now your question is fiercer. It's sharper. It's alive with fire. How do I crush this? It's no longer about waiting for a savior. It's about becoming a storm. When someone tells you no, you don't hear rejection. You hear challenge. When life blocks your path, you don't stop. You climb, you crawl, you tear through until you're on the other side. When doubt creeps in, you don't silence it. You stare it down until it shrinks back in fear. You become relentless. And here's the beautiful irony. The very resistance that once terrified you now excites you. You start craving challenges. You want the world to push back because you know every push is an opportunity to push harder. Delays? Good. More time to prepare. Failures? Good. Another chance to refine. Obstacles? Good. They'll make the victory taste like fire in your veins. You stop being the victim of circumstances and start being the architect of your response. The world doesn't owe you smooth roads. It owes you resistance strong enough to make you unstoppable. People around you notice the change. They see you take hits and keep moving. They see you fall and rise faster than before. Some are inspired. Others are unsettled. A few whisper that you've gone mad. But you don't care anymore because you've discovered the secret. Persistence isn't about avoiding resistance. It's about using it. And resistance is everywhere. It's in the early mornings when your body begs for rest. It's in the failures that mock you. It's in the voices of doubt that echo through your mind. But instead of running from it, you embrace it. Because every time resistance meets resilience, greatness is born. And as the punches keep coming, you learn to love the fight. You learn to smile in the storm. You learn to keep swinging until the world has no choice but to step back and admit, this one won't quit. The resistance doesn't stop, but neither do you. Part 4, the breakthrough. Then comes the day when something changes. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or an announcement. It slips in quietly, like the dawn after a long, merciless night. But you feel it instantly. Something is different. That skill you've been grinding at, the one that mocked you with frustration, the one that slipped through your fingers no matter how hard you tried, it finally clicks. Your hands move smoother. Your mind feels sharper. The chaos begins to make sense. And for the first time, the pieces fall into place. That dream you've been chasing, the one people told you was foolish, impossible, out of reach, suddenly starts looking real. Not perfect yet, not complete, but real enough to taste. Real enough to fuel you like never before. And here's the irony. When the results show, when progress becomes undeniable, the very same people who doubted you suddenly change their tune. The whispers shift. The laughter fades. Now their voices grow softer, dripping with false admiration. I always knew you had it in you. I could tell you were destined for this. I believed in you from the start. But you smile because you know the truth. They weren't there when it was just you, a dream, and an unshakable will. They weren't there for the long nights, the silent mornings, the endless setbacks. They weren't there when you faced the mirror, broken, exhausted, and still said one more try. And that's okay, because you never needed them. This is your moment of quiet pride. It's not loud. It's not showy. You don't throw a party or scream from the rooftops. No, you simply stand in the glow of your breakthrough, breathing it in, letting it settle deep into your bones. And you realize something powerful. The greatest applause you'll ever get is the one you give yourself. Because no cheer from the crowd, no pat on the back, no shallow, "I always believed in you," can compare to the thunder inside your own chest when you finally prove to yourself that you were right all along. The day you stop waiting for someone to save you is the day you become unstoppable. That quote becomes your truth. You've lived it. You've felt it. You've seen the transformation with your own eyes. And with that truth comes clarity. You understand now that the breakthrough wasn't a gift. It wasn't luck. It wasn't destiny smiling on you after years of suffering. It was the natural result of refusing to quit. Every hour of practice, every rejection that hardened your resolve, every scar you earned along the way, those were the bricks. Your persistence was the mortar. And now, standing tall, you see the structure of everything you've been building. And here's what most people will never understand. The breakthrough isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because once you've proven to yourself that impossible can become possible, you're never the same again. The chains are gone. The limits are shattered. The voice that once whispered, "You can't," is drowned out by the roar of your own spirit declaring, "Watch me." This is where your journey transforms. You're no longer chasing approval. You're chasing mastery. You're no longer waiting for validation. You're validating yourself. You're no longer the person who hoped. You're the person who does. The world around you reacts differently now. Some clap, some envy, some pretend they were on your side the whole time. But none of it matters. Their noise is just echoes in the distance. Because in this moment, you understand that power isn't given, it's claimed. Respect isn't handed out. It's earned in sweat and scars. And most importantly, salvation never comes from the outside. It always comes from within. So you keep building. You keep striking. You keep rising. Because you know the truth. The world doesn't reward the ones who waited. It rewards the ones who acted. And as you look at yourself now, stronger, sharper, unstoppable, you realize something even more important. You don't just want this breakthrough for yourself. You want it because it proves to every doubter, every critic, every voice that whispered quit, that persistence is louder than doubt, and resilience is stronger than resistance. This breakthrough isn't the finish line. It's the torch you'll carry into the battles ahead. And with every step forward, the fire grows hotter, brighter, impossible to ignore. Because once you've had a taste of unstoppable, nothing less will ever satisfy you again. Part 5, The Legends Code. And now, the story is different. You don't walk into rooms hoping to be rescued. You walk in ready to lead. Your shoulders no longer slump with the weight of expectation. Your eyes no longer scan the crowd, searching for a savior. Instead, they lock forward with clarity, with certainty. Because you know storms will come. Storms always do. But you also know the truth. You're the one holding the wheel. The winds can howl. The rain can pound. The waves can rise like mountains. But the ship won't sink as long as your hands refuse to let go of the helm. People ask, sometimes with genuine concern, sometimes with quiet envy, but what if you fail? And that's when you laugh. Not mockingly, not arrogantly, just with the calm confidence of someone who has stared failure in the face 100 times and lived to tell the tale. Because now you know the truth. Failure is just the tuition fee for greatness. Every mistake you've made, every bruise you've earned, every setback that once tried to bury you, those were never endings. They were investments, payments into the bank of resilience. And the return on that investment is a life unshakable. Failure isn't fatal. It's the fee you pay to master greatness. You've burned the bridge to helplessness. There's no going back to the version of yourself that begged, waited, or hoped for rescue. That person no longer exists. You've chosen power over pity. You've chosen action over excuses. You've chosen to stand when the world wanted you to kneel. And now, the world has no choice but to adjust. Because once you realize no one is coming to save you, you stop shrinking, you stop apologizing, you stop pretending. You become the storm you once feared. And storms don't ask permission. They arrive. They shake. They change the landscape forever. The people who once doubted now watch carefully. Some follow you, desperate to catch a spark of your fire. Some criticize louder than ever, threatened by the reflection of what they could have been. But either way, they can't ignore you, because you've learned the secret. No one will save you, so you save yourself. And in doing so, you become something even greater. You become the reason others believe they can too. You turn to proof, a walking, breathing reminder that ordinary people can break their own chains, light their own fires, and carve their own path. The Legends Code is simple, but it's not easy. Stop waiting. Start moving. Stop hoping. Start building. Stop asking. Start becoming. Every scar on your body becomes a lesson someone else can learn from. Every victory you earn becomes a light someone else can follow. Every time you refuse to break, someone else finds the courage to stand. And that is immortality, not being remembered for what you had, but for what you showed others was possible. Legends aren't remembered for what they achieved. They're remembered for what they made others believe they could achieve. Now, when you walk into the storm, you do it with a smile. Not because the storm is easier, but because you're stronger. Now, when life tests you with doubt, you don't shrink, you expand. Now, when people whisper, "What if you fall again?" you answer, "Then I'll rise again, and I'll rise stronger." This is the code that separates the forgotten from the remembered, the ordinary from the immortal. And as you carry this code, you realize something powerful. You don't just live for yourself anymore. You live as a torchbearer for the countless others still waiting in the dark, still staring at their phones, still praying for rescue that will never come. You walk into their lives not as a savior, but as a mirror. You remind them, no one will save you, but you can save yourself. And when they see you, your scars, your fire, your resilience, they believe. That is your final victory. Not the applause, not the trophies, not the titles, but the ripple effect. The moment your story becomes their spark, the moment they stand up, wipe their tears, and whisper to themselves, "If they could do it, so can I." That's when you know you've lived by the Legends Code. And the world, it better be ready, because legends don't wait for rescue. Legends rise, save themselves, and ignite the belief that others can too. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.